Bullied Black Marine confronts guards, then 6 SEALs defend him. The deafening silence in the officers' club could have been cut with a knife. Staff Sergeant Marcus Wilson stood motionless, his broad shoulders squared against the 6 security guards who had formed a human barricade before him. Behind them, the exclusive military gala continued as if nothing was happening. The head guard's radio crackled with static as he repeated, "Sir, I need to see additional identification. This area is restricted." Marcus felt his jaw tighten, the same familiar heat rising in his chest. After 3 tours in Afghanistan and a Purple Heart, he was being stopped, again. The invitation in his dress blues pocket suddenly felt heavier than the medals adorning his chest. He'd faced Taliban fire with less fear than this moment of public humiliation. 2 months earlier, Marcus had returned stateside after his final deployment. The transition hadn't been easy. The son of a Vietnam veteran who'd faced his own battles with discrimination in the 1970s, Marcus had joined the Marines believing things had changed. His father, William Wilson, had warned him otherwise over Sunday dinners in their Chicago home. "The uniform doesn't erase everything, son," he'd said, the lines around his eyes deepening with memories from another era. After graduating top of his class at Paris Island in 2004, Marcus had quickly distinguished himself in combat operations. His commanding officers praised his tactical mind and leadership abilities. Yet here he stood, being questioned at the entrance to a military appreciation gala he'd been personally invited to attend. "I've shown you my military ID and my invitation," Marcus said, his voice steady despite the anger bubbling beneath. "Additional identification could you possibly need that these other guests haven't provided?" The head security guard, a man with thinning hair and a permanent scowl, looked Marcus up and down. "We've had some security concerns, just following protocol." Around them, other uniformed personnel, all white, continued to enter without additional scrutiny. The contrast wasn't lost on Marcus or on several bystanders who had begun to notice the confrontation. "That's interesting," Marcus replied. "I don't see anyone else being subjected to this protocol. I've served this country for 15 years, I've bled for it, and you're telling me I don't belong here?" The guard's hand moved subtly toward his belt. "Sir, I'm going to need you to lower your voice or what?" A new voice cut through the tension. 6 men had approached from behind Marcus, their postures relaxed but their eyes alert. The lead figure, Commander Jack Reynolds, stepped forward. Marcus recognized him instantly, the legendary SEAL team leader whose missions were the stuff of military legend. "Evening, gentlemen," Reynolds said, his Texan drawl unhurried. "Seems we have a misunderstanding." The head guard straightened. "Commander Reynolds, we're just following security protocols for unverified guests." Reynolds exchanged glances with his team before fixing the guard with a steady gaze. "That's funny because I personally added Staff Sergeant Wilson to the guest list. He saved my men during the Kandahar operation in 19. The atmosphere shifted instantly. The other 5 SEALs, each from different backgrounds, some having served since the Gulf War, positioned themselves alongside Marcus. "Wilson is the reason Mitchell here still has his right leg," Reynolds continued, nodding toward one of his men. "And why Thompson's kids still have a father." Marcus hadn't expected this. Kandahar operation had been classified. He'd never spoken about pulling those SEAL team members from the burning transport after their convoy hit an IED. He'd simply done what any Marine would do. The head guard's confidence faltered. "We weren't informed." "Clearly," Reynolds interrupted. "Now I suggest you step aside before this becomes a conversation your supervisors will need to have with you tomorrow morning." The guards retreated, muttering apologies that sounded hollow against the marble floor. As they moved into the ballroom, Reynolds turned to Marcus. "Should have happened sooner. I'm sorry it didn't." "You didn't have to do that," Marcus said. "Actually, we did," replied Mitchell, the SEAL with a slight limp. "Been meaning to thank you properly since Kandahar." As they entered the gala together, conversations paused. Reynolds guided Marcus toward a table where several high-ranking officers sat with their spouses. "Gentlemen, ladies, I'd like you to meet the Marine I've been telling you about." The evening transformed. Marcus found himself sharing stories with commanders who listened intently, trading memories of deployments spanning decades. An older general reminisced about serving alongside Marcus's father in Vietnam. "William Wilson, hell of a soldier, saved our unit near Khe Sanh in '68. Later, as a band played hits from the '80s, Reynolds pulled Marcus aside. "Those guards have been problematic before. Tonight wasn't their first misunderstanding." "Won't be their last either," Marcus replied. "Maybe not," Reynolds agreed. "But things are changing, slowly, but they are." The following morning, Marcus received a call. The security company had been replaced, and the head of military affairs wanted to personally apologize. More surprisingly, he was being considered for a position training special operations candidates, a role he'd been passed over for twice before. 3 weeks later, Marcus stood before a new class of recruits, diverse faces looking back at him with varying degrees of uncertainty and determination. Among the training officers were two familiar faces, Mitchell and Thompson. "The battlefield doesn't care about your background," Marcus told the recruits. "Neither should we. What matters is the person beside you and whether they'll have your back when everything goes wrong." As he spoke, he noticed Reynolds observing from the doorway, a slight nod acknowledging the truth they both understood. Change didn't happen in grand gestures, but in small stands against injustice, and in the unexpected alliances formed in the crucible of shared experience. The system wasn't perfect, but sometimes 6 men standing beside one could make all the difference.